The evidence will show that someone who played make-believe with a real gun and violated the cardinal rules of firearm safety is the defendant, Alexander Baldwin.
The former special prosecutor in Alec Baldwin's now dismissed involuntary manslaughter case resigned as the case crumbled in court.
My recommendation was for the case to be dismissed. And when that was not, my voice was not heard, I asked the judge to allow me to withdraw from the case.
Erlinda Ocampo Johnson is here with more on why she resigned and how she felt about the case against Alec Baldwin. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Erlinda Johnson joined the special prosecution team handling Alec Baldwin's trial in April. It was after the trial of Rust armorer Halyna Gutierrez-Reed, who is now serving an 18-month prison sentence for involuntary manslaughter for the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Baldwin was indicted on an involuntary manslaughter charge in January. His trial was well underway last week in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when it began to unravel Thursday afternoon following testimony from a crime scene technician that live ammunition had been turned over to law enforcement that could be connected to ammo from the set of Rust. The interaction between retired police officer Troy Teskey, a friend of armorer Halyna Gutierrez-Reed's father, Thel Reed, was captured by police body cameras.
Hey, good. Troy, I'm Lieutenant Reynolds. Lieutenant, so nice to meet you. I've got some evidence. You need to do this out here? Because I should probably write out something to go with this.
Like a chain of custody.
Statement.
Well, we don't have a chain of custody there. So, yeah, come with me and we'll go.
That's my wife. Hi. That's
Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Wherever you want to go to get the evidence. You can go to the interview.
It's fine. Sure. I can fill out a statement or something. Witness statement. When I'm a witness, I'm called here as a witness to the Rust trial. And I live in Arizona. So it's a long way.
Right.
And I wanted to. At the last minute, he said, okay, I don't want you to testify.
No,
I'm supposed to bring some evidence. And then they didn't want the evidence.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to walk around with this evidence forever.
That's fair. What do you guys do for enough?
Yeah, I don't care what you do with it. I just don't want to have it.
That's okay.
And they're 45 cartridges. Like,
They're from the set?
no.
Okay.
No. You want to know the details?
The problem? That evidence was never turned over to Alec Baldwin's defense team, and it was never tested.
This is not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not even the third time. It's time for this case to be dismissed, Your Honor.
Judge Mary Marlowe Summer dismissed the case.
The state's discovery violation has injected a needless, incurable delay into the instant jury trial. Dismissal with prejudice is warranted to ensure the integrity of the judicial system and the efficient administration of justice. Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
When she did, one person was conspicuously absent.
Erlinda Johnson, the next prosecutor selected, resigned from the case today.
She did.
Based in part on the conduct we're here discussing, correct?
I believe that Ms. Johnson Ms. Johnson didn't want my understanding is that she didn't agree with the decision to have a public hearing.
Erlinda Johnson resigned before a hearing on the issue was ever held. I spoke with her on Friday night. Thank you so much for joining me. Why did you resign?
I resigned because this morning I learned for the first time that there was some evidence that was not turned over to the defense in this particular case. And when that became clear, as prosecutors, we have particular obligations. We have ethical obligations to ensure that the process works. We have to disclose evidence. We have to be transparent. And the decision at the time, my recommendation was for the case to be dismissed. And when that was not, my voice was not heard, I asked the judge to allow me to withdraw from the case.
It seems to me like such a simple thing to do. to just simply turn over the report and the information about the rounds because somebody turned them in. They may have said, Mr. Teskey may have said they didn't come from the set of Rust, but he was still there as somebody connected potentially to the case. So to me, it seems so easy to just simply turn over the information about the rounds. Did Carrie Morrissey have an explanation about that for you?
I think from what I understand, and I didn't stay around to listen to the testimony, was that she did not believe that it was material to this defense. But unfortunately, as prosecutors, we don't get to decide what a defense is going to be. If the evidence could be potentially helpful to the defense, if the evidence is material, if it could lead to potentially creating reasonable doubt, it's got to go. It has to be disclosed to the defense. And my belief, I was a prosecutor for over a decade, a state and federal prosecutor for over a decade. And I will tell you that prosecutors have to be above reproach. It's the ethical duties and obligations of a prosecutor come before wanting a conviction, before trying to secure a conviction. We have to be transparent. And when that doesn't happen, the system fails. And it fails for all of us. And we see that happening over and over again, and it's unfortunate. But when I saw that, my recommendation was we need to dismiss this case because it's too late in the process. And it could have been, had it been disclosed timely, it could have been that possibly the jury would not have thought it had any relevance. But the issue is it wasn't given over to the defense. And I think that the intention of the prosecutor, whether it was malintentioned or just a negligent mishap, that's irrelevant at that point, because you have to look at, could the defense have made use of it and the prejudice to the defense. And you're in the middle of trial, of course, there is prejudice.
I want to take a second to tell you about a great app I've been using that gives you cash back on things like gas and food. It's called Upside. It's not a confusing rewards or points system. Upside gives you real money back that can go straight into your bank account. When I pump gas or order takeout, I always check Upside for the best deals. Why not get cash back when you fill up your tank? Here's how it works. Download Upside and look at the offers. When you find one, claim it and then pay with your debit or credit card. I've actually used Upside to get cash back on gas. I got $5 back on a tank of gas, and you can't beat that. Upside works at many popular stores. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen and use the promo code CRIMEFIX to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. So when did you make the decision? I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. I mean, Alec Baldwin was out in the hallway with his lawyers at one point in time. I think I saw Carrie Morrissey and Corporal Hancock and Alex Spiro and Heather LeBlanc out in the hall at one point in time. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. And then there was the big lunch break. Did you make the decision to resign before the lunch break?
After the lunch break, because during the lunch break, that my belief, ethically and morally, was this case has to be dismissed. Now, keep in mind, I believed in the case. A woman died. A woman was killed. There was some reckless behavior on set. I do believe in that evidence. I mean, we were going to be presenting that before the jury, using a gun, using another person as a line of sight to practice, as kind of practice, target practice. That's reckless behavior and not handling a real gun properly. But irrespective of that, we have ethical and moral obligations. We have disclosure obligations. And at the end of the day, the jury could have said that is irrelevant, but the defense didn't have a chance to present that. And that's when I think prosecutors need to make some tough decisions. And it would have been a tough decision. And the tough decision would have been, this case has to be dismissed.
There was some information brought up by Alex Spiro during the hearing that Carrie Morrissey may have had a bias or an animus toward Alec Baldwin for whatever reason. He brought up that she allegedly had called Alec Baldwin some vulgar names to other witnesses. Did you ever have a concern about that maybe she was too personally invested in this?
You know, no, I did not see that. I did not see that behavior. But keep in mind, I've been on the case 2.5 months. We were the first time that we've actually been together for extended periods of time in the courtroom was this week during the trial. We were based out of our separate offices. We were not in the same office. I was very engrossed in getting up to speed on the evidence that we had, that was made available to me, that was under the Rust case number. And so, no, I was not privy to any of that.
So you believed in the case, you said.
I did.
You believed that the evidence showed that Alec Baldwin, or that a jury could find Alec Baldwin guilty of involuntary manslaughter, one of the two alternatives.
Yes, keep in mind, I mean, I never believed, obviously, that Mr. Baldwin did this intentionally. Absolutely not. And was he remorseful? It was clear, yes. But that's not the issue. The issue, involuntary manslaughter, is negligent homicide. It's someone acting in a reckless manner in handling a firearm. And that was, for me, that was the bottom line, because you have a woman who was killed, someone was killed. And my belief and my obligation and duties as a prosecutor were to bring the facts and bring the evidence before a jury and let the jury decide. The jury may have disagreed, and I would have absolutely respected the jury's decision had they chosen to acquit Mr. Baldwin. I would not have been upset in the least, because prosecutors are not there to get a conviction at any cost. Prosecutors are there to present facts, present evidence, and disclose everything that should be disclosed.
Do you think now that there should be an investigation into those rounds and maybe a reevaluation of this case? Because a lot of people believe that maybe Seth Kenney, as Baldwin's defense was alleging, was maybe a little too helpful because he feared he might have some liability here.
I don't necessarily believe that. You know, I think that the issue is disclosure. The issue is disclosure of this evidence that the defense could have made some use of during their case. I don't believe that there's somebody who's sabotaged this set. I don't believe that. I don't think that there's evidence for that of that.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't. I mean, this was an unfortunate, a woman was killed. This was an unfortunate end to this case. A jury should have decided this case. And it's unfortunate that it ended this way, but I think it was the right decision on the judge's part.
Erlinda Johnson, thank you so much for talking with me. I appreciate it. For her part, Prosecutor Mary Carmack Altwies released a statement following Judge Mary Marlowe Summers' dismissal of the case. It said, "Our goal from the beginning was to seek justice for Halyna Hutchins, and we fought to get this case tried on its merits. We are disappointed that the case did not get to the jury." That's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.